Right. Authorities on this Friday shared an outline of their plans to compensate small businesses that look to be negatively affected by the latest set of COVID-19 restrictions. I have Choi Won-jong, that is, here in the studio with details on that. Welcome, Won-jong.
Afternoon.
Right. So what has been disclosed about the potential or possible financial support for these small businesses, Won-jong?
Right. It goes without saying that these new restrictions could take a heavy toll on many businesses across the country. Now, with that in mind, the government plans to provide 1 million Korean won, around $840 to 3.2 million small business owners hit hardest by the restriction. Now, business that not subject to the new restrictions will also be eligible for financial aid if they have taken a hit in revenues. Plus, for 1.2 million businesses such as PC rooms and restaurants, they will get around $80 to implement a vaccine pass system like QR scanners, thermometers, and partitions. In total, $3.6 billion will be set aside for this program.
Right, so for the compensation program then. Meanwhile, Won-jong, what's the latest with regard to the spread of Omicron here on the local front?
Right, so far as of Friday, now 3 cases of Omicron variant were added in South Korea, bringing the total to 151 cases. Korean health authorities have once again highlighted the importance of vaccinations as our best weapon against the Omicron variant. The head of a KDCA held a briefing Thursday afternoon where she stressed the importance of getting vaccinated as soon as possible. As people aged over 60 make up around 80% of severely ill cases and 95% of deaths, she urged senior citizens to get their additional shots to shore up the waning immunity. Jung added that booster shots are more than 70% effective in protecting against the Omicron variant. Now take a listen.
According to recent government data from the UK, additional Pfizer shots following 2 doses from either AstraZeneca or Pfizer were 90% effective against the Delta variant and showed 70 to 75% efficacy against Omicron.
Regarding the potential side effects from booster shots, one expert gave his reassurance that the booster shots are completely safe to receive. Now take a listen to what he had to say.
When comparing the prevalence of side effects after the first, second, and third shots, the rate of occurrence was similar or even slightly lower for the booster. There's no need to worry about an elevated risk of side effects after getting the additional dose.
The authorities added that booster shots are now an essential part of our vaccination campaign and that will focus on prioritizing the jab for the elderly in December.
Right. Won-jong, how are authorities outside of Korea, meanwhile, seeking to rein in the Omicron situation?
Right. Let's start with the French government here. Their response to spread Omicron, the authorities in France on Thursday imposed a travel restriction on the UK, banning the non-essential travel in both directions starting this weekend. Only French citizens and travelers from EU countries are allowed to enter the country. This came as the UK government saw record high daily infections of more than 80,000 on Thursday. And more than half of new cases in the capital, London, is reported to be the Omicron variant. UK health authorities cited data suggesting that one Omicron patient can spread the virus to 3 to 5 people, a higher transmission rate than the Delta. Now, meanwhile, over in the US, the average number of daily infections for the week surpassed more than 120,000, which is 40% jump from the 2 weeks ago. Now, top health official Anthony Fauci said, like in other countries, Omicron will soon become the dominant strain in the US, urging all Americans to get their booster shots as soon as possible.
Right. On a slightly optimistic note, I understand health authorities in Europe have granted the green light, Won-jong, to oral COVID-19 treatments. Tell us more.
Of course, the European Medicines Agency, or the EMA, that has granted emergency use authorizations for Pfizer's oral COVID-19 drug Paxlovid. The agency said Thursday that the oral treatment can be used to treat adults with a high risk of severe symptoms. It says that treatment should be administered twice a day for 5 days after symptoms appear. However, they're not recommended for pregnant women or those planning to have a baby. Now, the Paxlovid was shown 89% of effective in lowering the risk of deaths and hospitalizations in Pfizer's lab studies. Now, over in Denmark, the country has approved the U.S. drug maker Merck's molnupiravir for elderly patients and those with severe illnesses. The Danish government is the first among EU members to authorize the use of this oral COVID-19 treatment. Now, however, the pill is still pending approval from the European Medicines Agency. And according to the Merck, the treatment has shown to lower the rate of hospitalization by around 30%.
Right. Won-jong, let's now include SOA in our talk. SOA, I believe the global health body, has spoken in support of mixing and matching COVID-19 vaccines. Tell us more.
Right, Sunny. So the WHO has issued an interim recommendation on Thursday for a mix and matching different COVID-19 vaccines for the second and additional dose. The organization's strategic advisory group of experts advised mRNA vaccines, namely those developed by Pfizer and Moderna, can be used as booster shots after initial doses of AstraZeneca's vectored vaccine, as well as vice versa, depending on availability. Those mRNA and AstraZeneca doses may also be used after first jabs of Sinopharm's inactivated vaccine. Although this is now a more flexible approach, the WHO noted that mixing and matching must take into consideration supply, accessibility, as well as benefits and risk issues, with this recommendation still expected to be reviewed further.